Hello, welcome to As We See It. My name is Robert Steffen. As We See It is a show where I go out into the community and I invite people of all walks of life to come in here at ACTV and do interviews. Today I invited an author. Her name is Andrea. Andrea, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Robert. It's nice to be here.
The first question I would like to ask you is, could you tell us where you were born and raised?
Oh, I'd love to. My favorite subject is talking about me, so I'll start with that.
Okay.
Actually, I'm a Navy brat, and I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia, on a naval base, Naval Hospital. And through different travelings because of my father's career, we ended up in Worcester, Massachusetts. And that's where I was raised from the age of 4 until approximately 34. And that's where I started my education as well.
Okay.
So that's my beginning. Massachusetts.
Well, yeah. So did you learn any training there or anything, like, to defend yourself, or, to bat the service people away from you, or?
Oh, no, not necessarily. City girl, went to small parochial school. Very private. My mom was actually a single mother in 1963 with 5 children. There were 5 of us siblings. And 3 of us ended up being diagnosed with diabetes. And that's where my book comes into play, my Diabetic Soul, the autobiography.
Yes.
So my reason basically for getting this going was I celebrated 50 years having this disease. That's unusual. As of, let's see, I received a medal from the Joslin Diabetes Research Foundation. It's a bronze medal, and it reads, "For 50 courageous years with diabetes."
And that's here in California?
The Joslin Diabetes Center is located in Boston, Massachusetts. So because of my raising there, I was familiar with this process. And for those of you who are interested in receiving either a medal and or a certificate for 25 years or more, that's mentioned in my book on how to go about doing that. I believe it's on page 292. The address and phone number, and I encourage people to do that. Since 1972, there have been only 2,062 people that have lived beyond 50 years with diabetes. Since 1972, only 2,062 people have lived beyond 50 years with diabetes. That's not a lot of people.
No.
When you think that there are 400 million people in the world with this disease. So it's a bit outstanding. And I appreciate your invitation greatly here, because I am on a road as a self-proclaimed speaker for diabetic awareness, trying to make people realize the pros and cons of this disease, how to take care of themselves. I am very adamant about encouraging people to take care of their bodies, and that involves diet, exercise, medication, and staying stress-free, basically. Basics, so things that we should all know just to take care of ourselves.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would love to learn how to stay stress-free, whether they have diabetes or not. So, if you have a way of helping people to stay stress-free, please, let the world know.
Share it.
Yeah.
My little private thing of doing that is taking a hot bath or sitting in a hot tub. I know many people don't have a hot tub. Trying to relax, and I read. As an avid reader, I'm an avid reader, so I float away in another room and just try to calm down.
Yeah, but how do you deal with the immediate tension? The issues that come at immediate. Is there something that goes on in your mind not to stress about it or to want it away, or so it doesn't build up your stress?
My secret is to breathe deep, try to avoid or come up with an answer to the problem, especially if a person is at me or at my face. Try to stay calm and then get that person to be calm and try to rationalize around what the problem is to come to a solution, to a win-win situation. What we have between ourselves as humans are words. And that's the easiest thing I can come up with. If people don't want to rationalize or listen to what I have to say, then it's time to turn around and leave the room or walk away.
And walk away.
Otherwise, I refuse to get myself sick over instances that people just don't want to understand.
Right. Well, I've been learning basically to just take a step back, breathe, and not match the energy. If it's a negative, I will refuse to give a negative back. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, time out.
Exactly. That sounds just what I try to do. Just stop and think and breathe. And then I come into, how can I help you?
Yeah, to relax.
Yeah.
Take a chill pill and relax, or take a step back and.
Exactly. It is very difficult to avoid a stressful situation.
Yeah.
It is very difficult unless you're in it, and then you realize what you're doing.
Okay, well, let me ask you another question now. At what age did writing become a passion for you?
I used to write on the living room floor at my mother's house. And I would copy things out of a magazine, and I'd just write. I enjoyed printing, of course, and then it went into cursive and penmanship, and I did very well in both of those classes as a child. And my mother had begun to she got me in. She introduced me to a magazine called Diabetes Forecast as a child. Well, lo and behold, they had people in there looking for pen pals. Well, wasn't I just so excited? I had my first pen pal at the age of 8 years old.
Oh my.
So we started writing back and forth. And then continuing on when Todd and I, that was my pen pal's name, weren't writing to each other, I'm back on the living room floor with my mom, and I would just fill out the coupons out of her magazines, or I would color in certain things and copy the words over and over. It was just something I liked to do, and either printing or cursive. And that's where I first became insightful, or I think back and think, that's why I was writing as a child. It was just something I really enjoyed doing.
Well, I need to ask, was Todd in a different country, or was he located here in the United States?
He was in the United States. I believe, from what I recall, it was Iowa.
Oh, really?
Where he was in Iowa, yeah.
Oh, farmer,
that was a short-lived little excursion, and then, of course, having been able to stay at summer camp, I befriended many children there, and pen pals was a thing to do. We wrote to each other all the time,
right.
And that was a constant.
Yeah, today, I mean, I love getting letters, Christmas cards
Exactly.
and stuff, and then returning it and sharing, my goodwill, with whomever, I get a letter from, to cheer them up and brighten them up and do my best. And one thing I have learned in my writing is that I don't ever write in anger. If you're going to write something to someone, whatever it may be about, always to write in a peaceful, steady mind, so that's how I do it. So that way you don't go hurting anybody or yourself as you're trying to get back at them and say, well, you should have done this, and say, well, wait a minute here. Well, maybe you could have done this, and but anyway, I support you, and I hope you understand. I understand your mishaps and stuff like that. That's how I do it sometimes.
Oh, okay, very well.
So basically, what or who inspired you to write this book? Was it just yourself, or? It
was me. It was approaching my 50th birthday. Let's see. I have led a very zealous life, if only because of this disease. I have accomplished things that others have not accomplished, only because I wanted to prove myself that as a diabetic, it could be done. With or without this disease, I could do that. I could succeed in something. So I basically was proving to myself that it could be done. Now, at the age of 12, I was told that I was going to be dead by the time I turned 31.
Wow.
So when I was at the age of 12, that never left my mind. That was in my mind day in and day out, constantly. So I had to, I got on this road of zealousness and a great zeal for living, a great encouraging myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to conquer. And I'm going to show them that I can do it. Basically, show them the doctors. Show them the other kids that they can do it with me. We don't have to listen to what they're going to say. We don't have to sit back and be invalids and be poor me type of situation. So the book was a great beginning and an ending for me. I would like to have this a second edition come out. That's in my mind. That would progress from the end of that book into the future.
Right. Well, which today there's a lot more medical and more ways of helping people that are on diabetics.
Oh yes, yes there are. The research is progressing, but it still remains research. And research is a bottomless pit. I will admit that. They need money. The research facilities, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, the nonprofits which are accumulating worldwide. There are so many different organizations that represent diabetes. Everybody wants a cure. In my book, I mentioned other diseases as well that compete for money and or time from the American public, from the world public to find a cure. Let's find a cure for something. Let's find a cure for MS. Let's find a cure for Parkinson's. Let's find a cure for cancer. And let's find a cure for diabetes as well. Add in your own disease there, looking for a cure.
Well, I like that. Okay, as far as finding the cures and stuff, when I was introduced to the service, years ago too, it seemed to be that the services had all these shots for the Army men and people, so they wouldn't, get these diseases when they went to war and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of wondering here why, when you were involved with the service people back there, that they didn't help you at that time with all the shots and stuff, and then, to help you.
Well, that I think is the basis for vaccines. And it's also been brought up that vaccines are probably a cause or a viral cause to the little infant people that are making them sick, or how they are first contracting certain diseases. And that's just a theory.
Yeah, so my main question is, was you born with it, or did you somehow get it somehow?
I think I was born with it. I was diagnosed at the age of 2.
Okay.
The symptoms now for any diabetic, either a type 1 or a type 2, and there is a difference, are very high thirst, extreme tiredness, appetite fluctuations, either very high or very low, and weight gain, or weight loss, depending upon the person. A very telltale sign is the smell of a person's breath, which is very sweet.
Oh, wow.
And that actually denotes ketones, which is a bad thing. It's a nice thing to smell, but it's a bad thing for the human body to be going through that. In fact, I have read stories of parents of infants who were diagnosed with diabetes that the mothers further fell in love with their infants because they smelled so sweet, they were so wonderful. But when they brought the child to the doctor, they were diagnosed